This time on Woody's garage. So your bike's crapped out at the race.
Yeah, I'm pretty impressed. Got to put the chain guard back on. I got to wipe it down too. I swear, since I've owned it, I've never cleaned it at all. It was into fixing it. Okay, so we got back from Gomas Minibike Massacre. I was there videoing it. I brought the Rupp and the Broncco Minibike, and they both did pretty good, but they both ended up throwing chains later in the day, much later. They lasted most of the day. And I had to figure out, like, hey, what happened here? So first with the Rupp, I figured out what happened. Be a lot easier to see outside, but, you know, I'm inside, so... A bearing popped out, if you can see that right there. The bearing just slid out of here. The reason it did that is because I lost that nut. I have another nut on there now, but there's actually a nut that's for the chain guard. It's like an elongated nut that comes out to about here to hold, also hold the chain guard, and that fell out, and it made the swing arm wiggle all over the place. And I think the wiggling action of the swing arm kind of made that bearing slowly come out. That bearing also didn't fit in there all that tight. I remember putting some foil tape around it so it was a tight fit, but I'm going to need to do something, rough up the edge or something like that before I tap that bearing back in. Yeah, I'd love to find that elongated nut, because you can't find them anymore, and it's probably on the racetrack at Gomas. And if I haven't said so, I'll put a link to the video below. It's on my other channel. And the Broncco threw a chain because that sprocket on the jack shaft slid over, oh, about a half an inch. Don't know why it slid over a half an inch. I tightened it down really tight, and I had Loctite on the set screws, but I guess it needs a collar or something. A little extra support there, which we will put in. But this bike did really good. You know, for a 3-horse, it had some pep. Although, I think it needs a new clutch, because it was kind of chattery. Yeah, 4th of July weekend. 2 days ago, it was 100 degrees. Today, it's 60. That's 40 degrees difference. It's going to rain every day all weekend, and it has been. Okay, we got the Broncco inside. We're draining the gas out of it right now. Should have done that outside, but it's pouring rain, so I'm doing it inside. And what I've kind of noticed, if you can see in there, I got to even put on my glasses. The camera's probably going to see it better than I can. Hang on a second. Gotta get my glasses on here. And you can see that what happened in there, besides the sprocket moving, is the key broke. So I'm guessing, or the key is missing anyway, is that the key somehow worked its way out, and then the sprocket just moved to where it wanted to be. Picked up a cool sticker too at the Gomas Minibike Massacre, and I'll leave a link below so that you can watch the video. I put it on my other channel. Chain guard off. I'd really like to think of a quick release for this thing instead of it being bolted down, in case, you know, it's kind of why I gave up with it at the race. It's just like, you gotta take all this off, blah, 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 blah. I'll be doing it for an hour. But what happened here is I lost that set screw, although, like I said, I cranked it down good with Loctite. I guess not good enough. and then the key went away. Maybe it kind of pushed out this way and made the sprocket go that way, and then we lost the chain, and then I parked it. So, I mean, this setup was not very good. The engine was running great. It would kind of feel like it was, I don't know, better word for it, but kind of chunk along. It was like, and then it would kind of catch and go. Although everything's lined up and everything. There's a little play with this side to side. I don't think I noticed that before. And my chain tensioner worked just fine. Yeah, it could be a lot better. I mean, I did find someone selling, I guess, Benelli stuff will fit these bikes. They have the same rubber mount situation on the back here, so that you could replace, I could get a much bigger sprocket for this, which I think would be a much better idea. Obviously a torque converter would be a much better idea too. Engine with more horsepower would be a better idea too. So, you know, I just want to kind of get it back to where it was and leave it that way. And it's, you know, I don't really ride it. Put it back this way until the race next year, I guess. I tapped the sprocket over, and I'm sitting here wondering, like, why did it want to go to the right? And I'm wondering if maybe this jack shaft is tweaked like that, so it wants to go that way, you know what I mean? Because if it was this way, it might want to go this way. Thought it was pretty straight. Yeah, I don't know. Not a lot of damage anyway. You know, a new set screw and a key, but how long will that last? I brought along an extra collar there, just with that kind of in mind. That's what it was actually for, and I just didn't put it on for some reason. You know, I got one on the outside and that extra one. Should get two on there would probably be best, but if I remember right, the sprocket was such that you couldn't fit another one on the inside because there wasn't enough space, but you could get one on this side of the sprocket. I must say though, that ancient Lawson carburetor held up pretty good. And that thing's got to be from the early 60s or 50s. Well, I just measured with my old calipers. These things I just had to pull apart. They glued themselves together. I think they got hit by brake cleaner or something and glued themselves together, so I pulled them all apart and greased them up. But anyway, yeah, I got 46 on one side and 47 on the other side for the measure, so that's pretty darn close. It is pretty straight. Oh, if I didn't mention, I was measuring from the swing arm, which would definitely be straight, to the to the jack shaft. So I got some new nuts down at Lowe's. These are 16 pitch 3/8. This is a pair right here. I filed one down, or grinded one down, so that I'd be able to get that washer on there, and so it would be long enough so that the nylon catch there, whatever it is at the end, would catch the threads, so it wouldn't spin off. Yeah, with the washer, it just kind of gets on there, kind of like it was without the washer. Still a little play back here. It's like the more I crank on this, the less play I have. But like, are you making it too tight for, you know, the swing arm to work right? I wanted to have a little bit of play so that it, you know, will function. I'm going to tighten it a little more though. Yeah, I gave it a little more of a crank. I think it's doing its thing. I think it's just on the end of the threads. The swing arm works good. Now I had another problem with this. When, oh, say hello to baby. When I hit a bump, I couldn't tell if I was bottoming out or what was going on, but it was a big clunk. Now what I got going on here is one of these long bolts from Lowe's, and you know, I don't think this sizing is quite right on those, so I'd like to get, you know, the real McCoy or something that fits a little tighter, because there is a little, hang on, let's see if I can show you. there is a little, I think that's what I'm hearing, and it's not good. Yeah, the Rupp, it ran pretty good, you know, and I think the thing that makes me most interested about it is there were a lot of Rupps out there kicking ass. I think the guy who won was on a Rupp with a H50, with a Tecumseh H50, not an HS50, not a new Predator, and he fucking won, and he kicked fucking ass. So it gets me a little more interested in the Rupp. And I saw this one guy who's in the video who was just, I mean, he was just tearing around the corners, and it looked like a really stock, same model as this Rupp. So, I don't know. There's hope. Okay, we're kind of back to where we were before the race. Minus one set screw. I thought I had one, but I don't. So, but I think this whole setup's probably going to change anyway, but, you know, I like to get things back to kind of like in shape before I put them away. So, this is it on this for now, till I get maybe a 5-horse for it or something.